What's going on is Omah on Capital XTRA Evenings. We are here joined with a legend. When I say legend, like, I don't want to be using that term loosely in it, because we're with someone that has set not only the foundation for grime, but also for UK music as it stands. So, yeah, here we go. Dizzee Rascal's in the building, man.
I like that intro. That was nice,
man. Did I was working on that. I was in the mirror. Sick. I was in the mirror like, how am I going to introduce this guy?
That's an honour, man. Thank you, man.
All good, man. Big up yourself for coming through. Now, we're currently looking at the year 2003.
Right.
But just before we get into that year and we get into the talk of the album, I just want to set it back a bit.
Yeah.
What was popping in that year? What was going on?
So, from our perspective, where we were, just off the back end of garage, garage was popping. I was still into drum and bass, but garage was what I'd say was the thing that was popping from the underground, and grime was bubbling underneath.
Mm-hmm.
And then stuff that was kind of in between garage and grime, like Pulse X, stuff like tunes like that. If anyone knows what that is,
yeah, because we were speaking to Lethal Visual earlier, and it was mad because what I got from that conversation is there was a lot of like confusion of the sounds in it, in the sense of especially when you were all doing your grime thing before it was grime, it was like you were all in this thing, but you didn't necessarily know what it was called. Yeah,
it was right at the beginning at the birth, and that happens with most genres. If you hear about how hip hop started and that, they didn't call it hip hop. Like none of us named it grime. It just became, you got the sound grime, and then you got the culture that it came from, which was just part of the pirate radio culture, which came from the same place as garage and drum and bass. So we're all from the same family. Some of us were drum and bass or jungle MCs or DJs first. I was a jungle DJ when I was a kid.
Yes, this is what I saw. So you started off mixing, and then how did you then make that jump to being an artist yourself?
I was too young to like go anywhere with drum and bass or jungle, and I started making beats in school. So that's how I ended up on my own.
See, when you say in school, do you mean like on the desk in the
so Cubase. So that was like a program that I was introduced to, Cubase. People I don't really hear of anyone using Cubase too tough now. Some people still use it, but people use Fruity Loops and that now, or Logic.
Loops. Yeah, that's it.
I ended up using Logic. Like by the time I got to Boy in the Corner, I was using Logic. But and then even before Cubase, I was using Music 2000 on the PlayStation.
See,
PlayStation 1.
This is gibberish to me. So on your PS1,
man said it's gibberish.
But you forget in the sense that I was bare young. I was 2001. Yeah. I was 1 year old.
Mad. All right. So PlayStation 1. So you didn't even see PlayStation 1.
No,
that's mad.
I jumped on the 2.
Okay.
2.
I don't remember 2. I don't remember PlayStation.
So
1.
what? It was a software on the PS1 where you could make music.
Yeah, it's basically a loop thing, like where it give you like a bunch of different loops and you could just put them together.
Right.
Like, and at the time it was kind of sick. It wasn't a thing that everyone knew about necessarily, but that was my first time I guess I'd made beats. Then eventually on Cubase is where you'd have to actually pattern the beats yourself. It wasn't using samples and all that. And then how did I get into pirate radio? Or just through listening to pirate radio stations, listening to certain MCs, whether it's Wiley, DWE, Skibbity, Shabady. These were the I thought of Rico. These were the guys I thought they were the dons on as far as MCs, riddles. So I like them because they sounded British and they sounded like they were from down the road. I was also into Tupac and Jay-Z and all that as well.
So you would draw inspiration from also like
all of them
artists overseas as well from the States.
Definitely, yeah. Because as far as albums, at that time, that felt like all we had to kind of take from. There wasn't a lot of prominence. Not like now. This generation, has got so many rappers popping right now. It wasn't like that back in the day.
You just had your select few.
Well, they were underground. I was listening to these guys doing radio sets.
Right.
So I don't know how. Like, so okay. So imagine. So your generation. I'm sure you would have seen like grime sets.
Of course, all like Lord of the Mics, all of that.
Okay, so yes, it's that era, but we'd do it on in a whatever, in a council flat somewhere, someone's kitchen, like things like that. That's what we was doing. So that's what I was listening to. So it was guys MCing live on the radio, and then I got into that culture. I loved it that much. Got involved in it. Like I said, started making beats. Went from a DJ to a MC. And I'll just be around the best MC. So one of the crews I started with was actually Ruff Squad and Nasty Crew. So they were RIP Storming. So they were the first people I was around. Ruff Squad was from my area. Storming was from Newham, but Newham's next door. And he had a cousin or close family friend from our estate. So that's how he ended up coming around. His close family friend was one of my best friend. They were twins. They live right there. He was an MC. He brought Storming, and I DJ for them. So my bedroom, my council flat, whatever,
was the hub.
Yeah, where everyone would come because I had decks, so everyone would come.
Oh, that's lit, man.
Yeah, from a long line of people, a lot of boys on my estate. That was one of the things that they DJed. So everyone had a setup. A few people had that. You know what I mean? Whether they come from jungle, hardcore, or garage. Is that making sense?
100%. So at the age of at 16 when you released that first single with "I Love You." So you were 16 then. I think you were around 16 or 17.
When I made it, I was 16 because that beat was floating around for a little bit before it came out officially.
So I want to know just a bit about you at 16 or you in your early years.
No, at 16, the first track I made was called Ready for War.
Right.
And I cut it onto dubplate and I gave it to DJ Macton, who's in Nasty Crew.
Okay.
So I cut 3 dubs, or one. I think I might have just cut 1 or 2 dubs. He was one I gave one to. That was my first tune. So it had me, MC Storming, MC Omah, and Sharky. To me, that's the first grime tune. That's the stuff I was making. No one was making.
That was like the launch of that sound for you.
Yes, that's the first thing I was doing. This is before I got with Roll Deep and all that. Because by the time I got around Roll Deep and Wiley and all that, I used to give Wiley my tapes and show him stuff and all that. His sound changed when I joined them, and then everyone started making they flipped their sound, and then that Esky came after that. But before that, I was already making this weird thing. I was into Dirty South music at the time. I was into 3-6 Mafia and all that.
Yes,
but I was always into drum and bass and Nirvana and stuff like that. So my sound was always dark. It was a dark sound.
Was that representative of Dizzee at the time?
Yeah, I was a bit. Yeah, I like darkness. There's 2 sides of me. There's the really jolly, funny, silly side.
Yes.
And then there's dark.
Yes.
So, music-wise, I was always quite drawn towards dark music, Bone Thugs and Harmonies, stuff like that. If you know that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, them times there.
And then, so let's fast forward to 2003 when the album dropped, Boy in the Corner.
Yeah.
What was your favourite track on that?
That's a good question. My favourite beat is probably Live-O or man's forgetting the name of my own tunes.
Do you know what I love about when you say this, yeah? I asked what was your favourite track. I love how you say my favourite beat because a lot of people just see a track as a track and they don't deep how the instrumental plays a huge part. And you coming from that producer background.
Exactly.
I can see how your brain ticks there.
Yeah.
My favourite beat.
Because I gauge it by that. Because the songs and it's almost the lyrics don't always necessarily mean as much to me in a weird way.
Yeah.
It's the beats. It was such a big deal for me to be able to make beats, put bars on them, and to release it like that into the world. And a lot of people still don't know that I made most of the beats on that album, maybe -3. So yeah, I'd say not Too Far. Too Far was a good beat as well.
And what's the difference of back then making an album to now? Like, how have you really seen it change with software and even just getting it out there to the streets?
I almost feel like it's difficult to focus on the album now if you're a new artist because I feel like it's more, the pace is faster, it's more single driven or moment driven. And the way people listen, you haven't got to sit there and listen to an album no more. You already go out, do I like that? No, do I like that? Just pick. You don't even have to go out and get a CD. It's a totally different thing. So you just listen how you want to listen. And people are more geared towards trying to get on playlists and all that.
Yeah.
So you need a disciplined fan who wants to sit down there and listen to your body work all the way through.
And take it in. Do you know what I related to? Did you have the old Sky on TV?
Yeah.
And you see how you would just read the blurb on for a film, for example. You didn't see the pictures, but now you see the pictures, so you have more choice.
Right.
You just have to sit through
and watch it
and watch it.
Yeah.
And not know what to expect.
Well, that's what was crazy about pirate radio. So when these times I was sitting there listening to people that I couldn't see. I didn't even know what the building was like. So it's all your imagination. People didn't know what we look, and then when I got in, people didn't know what we look like. So we were doing raves off of the back of being on these stations. So with me, Roll Deep, Nasty Crew, all these More Fire Crew, all these people, and people didn't know what we looked like until they got there. Like it's a different time. No camera phones.
Real different, man.
Was you about then? No.
She's a baby as well, man.
God damn.
Yeah, for real. Listen, let's fast forward now to the present. Obviously, next year we're looking at 20 years of the album.
Yes, man. Mad.
Wow. 20 years. Has that gone very quick for you?
Yeah, I think it is. But I think part of it is that I've never been stopped. So I've never stopped being asked about this album or being able to talk about this album. So it's never gone away. That era has just been so pivotal in British history and world history to an extent. It always gets spoken about. So it's never left me.
It always comes back to that as well. Like you look at the sounds, samples, flows, styles of artists, it all comes back to that.
Because that's the first time it was actually really, really ours. Like me, a few other people, we come with something that's totally different. I was first, but we come with something totally different. Like we could say grime is our sound for real.
Do you kind of miss them? Do you miss them days looking at like how music is now? Do you look back like, right, it's not what it used to be, or you happy with how it's been innovated?
Nah, I don't miss it. I don't miss it. I like what's going on now.
Yeah,
I get excited when a new drill tune comes on, or someone does something clever. Like I'll be like, right, okay, that's what's happening now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, well, look, you've got the O2 performance as well for the celebration of the album, 20 years.
Yeah.
Excited for that to go down?
It's going to be mad because what I'm going to do for it, I don't want to give away too much, but the production, it's going to be a treat. Trust me.
Yeah?
It's going to go off.
Well, surely you can spill a couple gems here of what's going to be happening.
All I can say is no one would have seen it before.
Wow.
Because when I do stuff, I don't like it to just
be like meaty little.
Yeah, nah. It's gonna be mad. It's gonna be like a spectacle. Yeah.
I expect nothing less, man.
Thank you,
I
man.
think it's gonna be like a journey. Do you know what I mean? And we're gonna see you in the flesh and see the celebration.
Yes,
so,
man. Yeah.
big up, man. What else can we expect from you coming forward?
I'm building as well. I'm making music. I'm enjoying it again. Producing. Coming up with some mad stuff. Been listening to stuff on the way here, and the last week working out. Okay. What is this one gonna work? Is that one gonna work? It's just that excitement of not knowing because I know I'm not making anything like anyone's making now.
That's the thrill.
Yeah.
Because you have that mind of an innovator. And not even an innovator. You have that mind of like creation.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like
fully.
You create something and then people then innovate and build off it. And I think that's what's so exciting. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, man.
Bro, listen, big up yourself for coming through.
Big up you, fam.
Dizzee Rascal in the building.
Yes, man. Thank you.